So I'm very excited to introduce Stefan Kollenberg, who is presenting today on leveling the playing field in Canadian politics. Stefan is one of the organizers of Future of Engagement, leading their community building, fundraising, and recruitment. So I'll stop sharing and I'll pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sam. And so nice to see all of you. I could see a couple friendly faces, so I'm excited to jump in tonight. So I will just share my screen and get into the talk today. And so I love to start with this slide whenever I talk about future of engagement, because we are all about people and smiling people, happy people, bringing people together to create change. And so when I talk about the people involved with future of engagement, a few of the organizers here, Haman, also on the Zoom today, but we all have a background in community work or technology, and bringing that kind of innovative startup approach into a nonprofit setting. And so I just wanted to give you a bit of background on who is involved with the organizing team at Future of Engagement. But really, at the end of the day, what brought us all together is that we want a Canada where the needs of the most vulnerable people are prioritized and put first, especially when we talk about government and politicians, because the decisions that are made in the world of politics impact so many parts of all of our lives, but disproportionately have systemically damaged or challenged certain communities when it comes to whether there's the pandemic response and how we saw that rolled out, and what areas got it first, and all of these different types of things. But at the end of the day, policy decisions, budget decisions, all of these things are made in the political world, and they impact different communities in a different ways. And so what we're looking at is the actual representation, and like, why is this happening? Well, why are these political decisions not being made equitably for different communities that do exist? And I mean, this is one stat that I pulled out, but you can see that especially at the municipal level, there's just drastic underrepresentation. This is only looking at people of color, or in the stats here, it was identified as visible minority, but we also see this across socioeconomic status, mental health and physical health status, gender, across sexuality, like all the different intersections of identity. There's definitely a lot of underrepresented communities when we look at our governing bodies. And so what we're doing to create change here is a few things. So one, we're helping candidates from underrepresented communities to get elected and then navigate government. So on the kind of the election side of things, we're setting up campaigns faster and more effectively, using technology, using resources that our community and the community of volunteers is bringing together and sharing and building with candidates based off research and testing. And then the other side of it is helping those candidates, if they do get elected, to navigate the complex dynamics that exist within government, to create change and effectively engage constituents and understand, hey, like, I'm elected now, what are the issues that you care about? How can I make sure that these are brought forward, and we create policy and make budget decisions that are the best for these communities? And so the process of doing all this starts with research, very, very like user-centric design, human-centric design focused, understanding their needs, documenting those journeys. One, to also share the journeys, because that's something that's not often discussed or talked about amongst candidates, but to also identify best practices and challenges where we might find tools that already exist that they don't know about, or build a new tool that will make that process easier and solve a problem for them. And then the last piece is actually running experiments with these tools and resources in live campaigns, gathering that feedback and improving it for the next candidate, all of which is done by the Future of Engagement community. And so this is kind of the higher overarching structure of how Future of Engagement creates change, and how it's driven by the community. And so when I mentioned their products and resources, wanted to get a bit more granular with what we're building. So in the top here, you can see it's focused on campaign. One product pillar is about campaign management made easy. And so the internal operations of a campaign are a lot. It's like spinning together a mini organization within a few months and getting that running effectively and smoothly, onboarding volunteers, getting them to take action, getting donors, all this type of stuff. So how do we make sure the internal operations of that are really effective and efficient? Then we've got constituent engagement at scale. Let's get as many voters to the polls as possible supporting us. How can we do that, especially given that campaigning has significantly changed during COVID? Door knocking is not the same anymore, just given the new health restrictions, all this type of stuff, and digital is becoming much more important. So building tools or pulling together tools, honestly, a lot of tools exist to do this effectively. They're just maybe not applied in a political context. And then on the bottom left here, we've got the one-stop shop. So this is more of tools and resources on just information on how to run, and guiding you through from past candidate experiences, more of the logistical side of this, giving you the knowledge you need. And then the final one, super cool, really exciting. This is where we're building more of the proprietary tooling and resources, but using open data, like census data and the past polling data to be able to help candidates make more informed political campaign strategies using that historical data, but presenting it in an accessible and usable fashion. We've seen some examples of this done with past specific campaigns. There's, I think, Election Compass and so on, but looking to take that to the next level where they can actually manipulate and play with the data to inform their strategies. And so these are kind of the four main product pillars that we are building around or collecting resources for. And actually, before I go into that, and this is all done by like a community of volunteers that we were bringing together. For the most part, it's people who work in tech, have a passion for creating impact, but maybe don't see that in their day-to-day lives, and they want to go beyond kind of donating or learning to use their skills to have impact. And so when a lot of the time I get questions like, okay, well, what's the process here? What are you doing? What's the timeline? So we've mapped out kind of the next year and a half at a high level. We're starting off first with a very much a beta product, with one nomination race to see, hey, how does this work? We control all the inputs to the campaign itself, so we can test out the tools and the resources and the processes, see what works, what doesn't, and then improve that. So then we can release it to a group of 5 candidates very specifically, that we'd kind of work with on a bit more of an arm's length basis, but still very involved to gather that feedback, in which time we'd have a more ready, kind of publicly available or a more readily available product, which we could release to a larger group of candidates. We're aiming for 25 candidates by the start of the Ontario provincial and Toronto municipal elections, and doing this through chatting about partnerships with different nonprofits to reach specific candidate groups, and we can kind of share that the tools that we've created along the way. And so right now, just to jump back to where we are, so we're doing research. We've got that kind of first nomination race winding up, and we're building out our product roadmap, which I kind of showed you the pillars of on the last slide. So that's where we're at right now, where we're going. And I've mentioned the community a few times, and so I wanted to show you some of the friendly faces that we have involved. And it's pretty amazing to see the diversity of people in all different ways that we've brought to the table. And we have a burgeoning Slack community, very friendly. But at the end of the day, a big focus for us is building an inclusive space where we respect power dynamics. We acknowledge those power dynamics when they exist. We respect boundaries. And it's an interesting way that we've actually started running the community, is that all the commitments that people make are on a sprint basis. So coming from tech, we've kind of brought in the agile methodology of like 2-week sprints to the work that we're doing here, so that when a volunteer comes in, they can contribute to a project, but we understand life changes, especially the past year. So we wanted to make the projects accessible and very kind of time bound, so that you can get in, have impact. If you like it, you can do another, get involved in a longer term way, but making it very quick, accessible, and impactful. And there's also fit for both introverts, extroverts, whether you like to just crunch data and go into a spreadsheet or tools and just like at 9, someone volunteer told me, he's like, hey, I want to work between 9 p.m. and midnight, and I don't want to talk to anyone. It's like, all right, that works. But also if you're into team stuff and you really want to meet others and collaborate, there's also group projects as well. So really, we're here to create change, to have fun, and something we always ask everyone before they join is what brings you joy and what do you want to learn? Because we want to find you a project that aligns with both of those, so you can love the experience of being part of the Future of Engagement community. And so that is kind of my spiel for today. I'll actually, if I can find the chat, I will put in the link that I have there. Oh, it's already amazing. Haman is on top of it. Oh, Blendy is on top of it. Perfect. I love it. Thank you, Blendy. But yeah, so that's a bit of us. I'd love to hear questions, thoughts, and have some discussion going.